What happens when a dictator builds the biggest gun in history and it turns out to be almost completely useless? Yeah, this story is wild, and we dive right into it.
This is the largest weapon the world has ever seen. This is the size of a tank. That's a human, and this is the size of the weapon's ammo. The Nazis called it Heavy Gustav. 1,350 tons of steel, a 32-meter barrel, and 47 kilometers of shooting range. It took 4,000 workers just to set it up, and another 1,500 soldiers to operate it. We dug deep into the archives to bring you the story of this monstrosity. A megalomaniac weapon commissioned by no other than Adolf Hitler himself. But unlike many of his rather delusional projects, this one was actually brought to life. Heavy Gustav was deployed in battle.
It's just crazy. The Nazis really built monster weapons, like straight out of a comic book villain's sketchpad. Heavy Gustav wasn't just a gun, it was basically a rolling skyscraper with an ego problem. Imagine spending thousands of workers and soldiers just to fire a few shots. Peak because we can energy, except it cost them more than it ever helped.
Fern.
1937. Adolf Hitler is neck-deep in preparations for his war. But one thing is keeping him up at night. The Maginot Line along the French-German border. A massive array of heavily armed and fortified concrete strongholds. To break through the solid line of defense, he needs something new, something big. So he orders Krupp Steelworks, the weapons forge of the German Reich, to build the largest cannon the world has ever seen. Hitler wants it to be ready by 1940. The project is top secret. Under no circumstances must the plans fall into the hands of the enemy. Internal documents refer to the cannon only as the Gustav device. Choosing cute names for heavy artillery is a long-standing German tradition. Other examples are Karl Morder or Big Bertha. Spring 1940. Hitler is eager to finally invade France, ideally with his new superweapon leading the way. But Heavy Gustav is not ready yet, and the Führer is furious. In the end, the Nazis decide to bypass the Maginot Line altogether by invading France through the densely wooded Ardennes in Belgium. A year later, the cannon is finally ready. It's a railway gun, designed to move along twin sets of parallel tracks.
This just looks scary as fuck, like some nightmare mashup of a train and a skyscraper with a gun barrel attached. The irony, by the time Hitler's mega toy was ready, the Maginot Line was already irrelevant. Classic over-engineering move, spend years building a doomsday cannon, then win the battle by literally going around the fortress. It's like building a cheat code for a video game no one's even playing anymore.
It weighs 1,350 tons and rolls on 40 axles and 80 wheels. It stretches nearly 50 meters long and stands as tall as a 4-story building. Its caliber has a diameter of 80 centimeters. The ammo shells weigh up to 7 tons each. This is one of them, a tank-busting projectile capable of tearing through 6 meters of reinforced concrete. And this is you working on a beach with AnyDesk.
This was a very random sponsorship drop, like, here's a mega cannon that can crush bunkers. Anyway, go play with sand on your phone. But honestly, they kind of deserve it. The editing, the pacing, the sheer chaos of cutting from Nazi superweapons to mobile beach simulator vibes, that's content quality whiplash, and I'm here for it.
AnyDesk is a remote access software that lets you connect to your computer from anywhere, securely, smoothly, and quickly. It literally feels like you're sitting right at the machine. It's ultra fast with near zero latency, so there's no annoying lag. File transfers happen directly, no cloud delays, no middlemen. It works on almost everything: Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, Android, etc. And with 99.98% uptime, your connection is rock solid no matter where you are. You can troubleshoot your grandma's old PC, transfer files, or say, remotely edit. That's how we use AnyDesk. It's just a game changer when you need a powerful machine for your work but want to chill here or here or here for a change. The applications are limitless. Try AnyDesk today. It's completely free for personal use. Just go to anydesk.com/Fern or scan the QR code on screen. Okay, back to Heavy Gustav. Tests are run to probe its unprecedented destructive power. Each shot leaves craters up to 32 meters deep and just pulverizes massive concrete walls. But by the time the cannon is ready, France has already fallen. Fortunately, at least for Hitler, there's still another battlefront. 1942. The Nazis have conquered vast stretches of the Soviet Union as part of Operation Barbarossa. But the Soviet forces are still fiercely holding on to one particular place, Sevastopol, then known as the world's strongest fortress. The city is defended by over 100,000 Russian soldiers, shielded behind 5 meters of concrete walls or hidden in bunkers buried 30 meters underground. Hitler desperately needs a win. And Heavy Gustav could be the key to breaking through. But getting the massive cannon onto the battlefield is no simple task. Gustav has to be disassembled, loaded onto 5 separate trains carrying a total of 100 cars, and dragged through Poland. Once it reaches the front, the next challenge is finding the perfect spot to set it up. Reconnaissance planes are sent to scout the ideal firing position. It has to be far enough from enemy artillery to stay out of range.
This is crazy much work. Moving a monster that needed 5 separate trains, 100 cars, and hours of assembly was basically military-sized IKEA. Only with explosives and no return policy. Think about the opportunity cost. Thousands of men, rails, and time for a handful of shells. In an era of precise airstrikes, it reads as glamorous overkill, and hilariously inefficient. What a logistic flex.
Eventually, they settle on a site about 25 kilometers from Sevastopol. Setting Gustav up is no small feat either. Soldiers have to lay 1,200 meters of railway tracks. And there's a unique challenge, the so-called firing curve. The barrel itself can't be rotated to attack new targets. 2 massive diesel locomotives have to carefully shift the entire weapon along the tracks to adjust its aim. Secrecy is critical too. Soldiers have to build artificial hills and trenches to camouflage the weapon and keep it hidden from enemies. But Heavy Gustav also has to remain invisible from above, which is why the Nazis have brought a 500-man special unit called the Smoke Troop. If need be, they can shroud the entire area in a thick cloud of smoke to conceal the weapon from enemy aircraft. All in all, the operation requires over 5,000 people. Laying tracks, assembling the cannon, maintaining, guarding, and camouflaging it, creating smoke screens, and ultimately operating the gun. An enormous effort for a single weapon. Unsurprisingly, Nazi propaganda touts the cannon as a marvel of military engineering.
Und das ist die neue schwere deutsche Artillerie. Aufzüge und Schienenanlagen befördern die gewaltigen Geschosse zum Rohr. Diesem massierten Feuerhagel werden auch die letzten Festungswerke von Sevastopol auf die Dauer nicht standhalten können.
After 3 days of assemblage, Heavy Gustav is finally ready to fire. This is Fort Stalin. For days, Soviet soldiers have endured relentless shelling. But they remain steadfast, sheltered behind massive concrete walls. At 4:30 p.m., they hear a massive explosion ripping through the air from a distance. The Soviet soldiers don't know it yet, but at this very moment, they are the target of the largest cannon ever built. A 7-ton armor-piercing shell is now hurtling toward them, easily capable of blasting through all their defenses. Even the massive concrete walls of Fort Stalin are no match for a weapon of this scale.
That moment when the giant shell finally screams in utterly nuclear scale theater, but the real headline is the logistics. 5,000 people, fake hills, smoke troops, an entire industrial ballet to hide one shot. It's glorified overcommitment. Build a monster to smash a bunker that could have been outflanked. Think about this. Today, satellites and drones would expose that camo in minutes. Classic historical flex. Spectacular, wasteful, and oddly cinematic.
But then, nothing happens. The shell misses, slamming into the ground about 120 meters away from them. The Germans need almost an hour to reload their gun. Another shell is fired and misses again, this time by 150 meters. Then another, and another. This is an official list of every shot fired on day 1 and how far they were off target. The next one is marked as a hit. But later, when search teams scan the area, they find no conclusive evidence of an actual impact. By the end of day 4, only 5 shells remain. They are all fired on day 5. and not a single one finds its mark. And just like that, they're out of ammo.
That is just hilarious. All that Nazi hype for the largest gun in history, and it couldn't even land a clean hit. 5 days, thousands of men, 7-ton shells, and the scoreboard says 0 goals. It's basically the world's most expensive stormtrooper aim. Like, imagine flexing about your mega weapon, then running out of ammo with nothing to show but a giant to-do list of missed shots.
Heavy Gustav has fired a total of 48 shots, a staggering 360 tons of ammunition. The official records claim 3 of them hit their target, but even that is debatable. The only confirmed hit was an underground ammunition depot, and that was probably luck. What was supposed to be a terrifying mega weapon turned out to be a massive and utterly useless monstrosity. There had already been doubts about the cannon's accuracy before it was first deployed. Some Nazi military officials suspected that the chances of actually hitting a target would be near 0, given the insane caliber size and shooting range. But they neither had the time nor the resources for proper testing. On top of that, the barrel wore out ridiculously fast. It became completely useless after just a handful of shots. In the end, Sevastopol fell, but Hitler's mega cannon had nothing to do with it. Did nobody have the heart to tell him? Or did he simply refuse to accept the bitter truth? We don't know for sure. Despite being a complete strategic and economic disaster, Heavy Gustav still served its purpose as a flashy propaganda piece for Hitler's vision of an unstoppable German war machinery. After its first and only battle, the railway gun returned back home to Rügenwalde, in what was then West Pomerania. A few final shots were fired during a demonstration. Hitler himself was there to witness his masterpiece in action. When the Nazis lost the war, he personally ordered the cannon destroyed so the miracle weapon wouldn't fall into enemy hands, which was probably a complete waste of time. Oh, and if you ever wondered what it would look like if you were to fire Adolf Hitler 15 miles across Crimea from a 100-foot-long cannon barrel, well,
that ending needs to lean hard into the absurd. Heavy Gustav was a dazzling engineering monstrosity, a propaganda prop dressed up as a weapon, and an epic case of logistics over effectiveness. Imagine thousands of people, fake hills, smoke troops, and 360 tons of shells spent for a handful of questionable hits. Peak theatrical waste. It's cinematic, expensive, and historically telling. When tech meets ego, the show can outlast the strategy and the story becomes the real ammunition. Fern did an amazing job with the video. The link is in the description. Next video, think bigger, stranger, and maybe a little more explosive. You'll see. Stay nerdy.